Today's movie is The Elixir 2025, and the heroes in it might be just ordinary people, but their minds are always working, they're smart, quick, and know how to act right in tough situations. Of course, that's a natural reaction when the world is turned upside down and zombies are everywhere. Before we start, send blessings upon the prophet. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you like the video, give it a beautiful like. Let's dive in. At first, the village elder is holding a big feast in his backyard to celebrate an annual occasion. Officer Ashan takes advantage of passing by the kitchen during a routine inspection and pulls a ring from his pocket to propose to his beloved Shaoli. But before he can speak, his police chief calls him, telling him they've just found a large quantity of illegal fireworks and Ashan needs to go there immediately. Ashan has to put the ring back in his pocket, apologizes to Shaoli, and leaves the feast quickly. Just as he leaves, a car pushes through the crowd and crashes into a pickup truck parked by the roadside, coming to a stop. The village elder runs to check on the injured angry and asks the driver what happened. But as soon as he opens the car door, he finds the man inside trembling and confused. The driver attacks him, shoves him hard, knocks him into the field, and starts eating him in front of everyone. The villagers freeze in terror, not understanding what's happening. To find out, we go back 5 hours earlier. A bankrupt pharmaceutical company had been conducting research for 3 months and finally managed to create a new drug. Before getting official approval, the research director made 2 samples, one to show his boss and one to give to a major client. The owner of the pharmaceutical company was about 60 years old, but his wife was young and beautiful. He looked exhausted, but when the vial of the new drug arrived, he swallowed it all at once without thinking. Suddenly, he heard a commotion outside. It was his daughter returning home with her family. His wife Lena rushed to greet them, but his daughter Lu Song couldn't stand her young stepmother. After a while, the owner came out of the bathroom and was shocked when he looked in the mirror. All the wrinkles and white hair were gone. He looked decades younger, as if he'd regained his youth. Overjoyed, he rushed to his young wife, excitedly telling her about the company's new discovery, the youth drug. But his daughter Lu Song was sitting with her husband, plotting how to sell the pharmaceutical. They had even prepared a promotional video and were negotiating with her brother Kadan about splitting the money. The rich family's son was at home designing games, uninterested in anything business-related. When the rejuvenated company owner entered the living room, everyone was shocked. Lodi, his son-in-law, thought his father-in-law had dyed his hair. The owner didn't explain anything. Instead, he made a strange, unexpected decision. He announced he would stop the sale of the company because the new drug they invented would change everything. His daughter Lu Song was furious. She had planned to divorce her husband as soon as she got the money, take her son, and start her own business. She hated the house and everything around her. Her husband went out every night and her young stepmother used to be her close friend, but now they couldn't stand each other. The atmosphere suddenly turned so tense that no one could control it. The company owner exploded with anger, veins bulging in his neck, screaming at everyone to be quiet, and started listing their mistakes one by one. Maybe from anger, his face turned monstrous, and blood began pouring from his mouth unnaturally. After a while, he collapsed to the ground and fainted. Lodi rushed to him and was shocked to discover his father-in-law's heart had stopped. Everyone panicked and quickly called for an ambulance. But suddenly, in the very next moment, the company owner got up again, his face terrifyingly pale, with a horrifying crackling sound coming from his neck. When the servant approached him, he attacked with all his strength without thinking. The bearded driver rushed to help, but also fell victim to the crazed company owner's attack. His face was covered in the owner's blood. At that moment, Kadan approached to stop his father but slipped and fell to the ground. In the next instant, he too was about to be attacked. Scared, he grabbed a toy bow lying nearby and, without hesitation, pulled the trigger. The arrow struck the company owner directly in the head, and he fell to the ground immediately, motionless. Everyone was stunned. No one said a word, but Lodi, his son-in-law, kept his wits about him and told the driver to go to the police station for help. Now the whole villa was in chaos. Kadan sat in the car blaming himself, feeling responsible for his father's death. Meanwhile, the servant who had been attacked by the company owner was still bleeding from the neck. They were all thinking about how to get him to the hospital, but suddenly, he got up, acting just like the company owner. Whenever he saw a living person, he attacked. The maid tried to stop him but also became his victim. Seeing all this, Lodi realized how dangerous the situation was. He grabbed his son and ran. Meanwhile, Lu Song was sitting in the car comforting her brother when suddenly she saw something strange in the yard. The maid was brutally tearing apart a man. Lu Song approached to see, but when she turned, she saw a terrifying face staring at her. Luckily, Kadan started the car quickly and ran over the crazed maid under the wheels. Lu Song was so scared she couldn't think straight and ran back to the living room. But her son and husband had both disappeared. Bloodstains were everywhere. She called on the phone, but no one answered. Suddenly, an injured maid came out of the room. The two of them quickly ran outside to their car, but the maid they had hit with the car was nowhere to be seen. They were shocked and suddenly saw the maid crawling toward them with half her body on the ground. Kadan hit her hard and got away. The place had become terrifying and haunted. They had no choice but to escape any way they could. At the same time, the driver who was heading to report to the police had the blood on his face begin to transmit the virus. The infection spread through his body. Suddenly, as he passed by the village elder's house, he lost control of the car and crashed into the crowd. When the elder opened the car door, the driver inside had fully turned into a zombie and brutally attacked the elder. Then, in his madness, attacked the people at the feast in the blink of an eye. The whole celebration turned into a disaster. Lodi and the others were still trying to escape from the attacks of the zombified servant. They were hiding around the car, like playing hide and seek. Just as they were about to get past, Lodi's phone rang. Instantly, the zombie servant attacked when he heard the sound, charging at them with full force. They all fought with everything they had and, with difficulty, managed to save the little boy. While the struggle was going on, suddenly, heavy rain began to pour from the sky and no one knew why. That zombie servant stood completely still in place, as if someone had stopped him. Everyone took a breath and seized the opportunity to escape quickly. Lodi grabbed his phone. The call was from his wife, Losang. As soon as she found out her son was still alive, she was very relieved, but it was difficult to pinpoint their exact location in the ruin that looked like a forest. So the two agreed to meet at the village chief's house. But when Lodi and the rest of the group arrived there first, they saw that everyone who had been at the feast had turned into zombies. They quickly decided to change direction, but Aunt Huang, who was walking behind them, made a small mistake. A zombie jumped out from the trees and bit her. Her scream attracted even more zombies. Now, escape was impossible. They managed, with difficulty, to get inside the village chief's house. Luckily, all the zombies stayed outside, and inside the room there was relative safety for now. Lodi carefully locked the door and slammed the latch. Suddenly, the phone rang. It was a call from his wife, Losang. She told him she had also arrived near the village chief's house, but the yard was full of zombies. Out of anxiety for her son, Losang told Lodi to honk the car horn so she could find her way and come meet them. But they didn't know that these zombies were extremely sensitive to sound. As soon as the horn sounded, the zombies went wild, like sharks smelling blood. From everywhere, zombies rushed toward the sound. Kadan had no other choice. He started the car quickly and raced toward the village. The zombies chased them from behind, and any innocent people in their path were attacked. At that moment, the pressure eased a bit on Lodi and the others hiding in the village chief's house. They rushed out, and as soon as they reached the large yard, they saw their car parked there. It was the same car the driver had taken. But unfortunately, the front of the car was completely wrecked and smashed, making it undrivable. Lodi tried to call his wife, but suddenly saw a zombie jump out from the field. Everyone panicked and ran toward the village gate. As they ran, they saw a small wooden hut. Lena quickly took her grandson and hid inside the hut, while Lodi stayed behind to fend off the zombies from the hut. The two women looked out from the hut door, holding their breath and waiting in silence. After a while, Lodi, drenched in blood, entered the hut. He had barely managed to fight off the zombies, but there was a deep bite mark on his arm. He could feel his time was. He sat on the ground and told his son, "If I'm not here, take care of your mother." He said these words, then stood up, turned his face, and in a moment, he had fully turned into a zombie. Lena used all her strength to save her grandson. In the end, she used the door to push the now zombified Lodi and hit him with an iron rod. After a great struggle, the grandmother and grandson barely survived the terrifying night. On the other side, Losang and Kadan fell into a new problem. Losang was almost losing her mind from her longing to see her son, so Kadan decided to circle the village and head toward the village chief's house. But he didn't notice a truck parked ahead, and before he could change direction, their car flipped and landed on the side of the road. The truck driver, terrified, got out quickly to run away. Luckily, Losang and Kadan were both alive, but that slight delay brought them closer to greater danger. A whole army of zombies was chasing them from behind. The poor villagers in the truck were only heading to the village chief's feast, but unfortunately, they themselves became zombie victims. The truck driver stood in shock, watching everything, but within moments, the zombies attacked him too. When Losang saw all this, her face turned pale, and her hands started to tremble with fear. But at a short distance, the police station sign was visible. At the same time, inside the police station, some officers were discussing the shipment of fireworks that had been confiscated. Suddenly, Kadan and his sister arrived. As soon as they entered, they shut the door first, and while catching their breath, said that there was a large crowd of zombies outside. The police chief, without wasting time, ordered his colleagues to go out and check the situation and left Officer Ashan to look after Losang and Kadan there. But when the police team reached the scene, they saw that the zombies were more dangerous than any human. Many police officers were killed there, but the bearded police chief managed to fire a few shots. Meanwhile, in the village hut, Lena and her grandson were frightened when they suddenly heard footsteps approaching outside. But what reassured them was that the person who broke the door and entered was not a zombie. It was Xiaoli, the same girl who had managed to escape from the village chief's feast. In fact, the hut was her home. As soon as she entered, she called her boyfriend Ashen, but before she could explain anything, Ashen hung up out of fear. Quickly, they all helped him inside and closed the door with difficulty. They all managed to stop the zombie attack, but suddenly saw that the police chief was injured and had a zombie bite mark on his arm. Losang guessed he would soon turn, but he ignored her and immediately called for an ambulance. In the very next moment, the injured police chief got up from the ground. Kadan quickly drew his gun and fired, but the shot didn't hit his head directly. He just fell to the ground, still alive. No one had time to react. He was about to attack Ashan, but the others all pulled him back. Kadan and his sister approached, and with difficulty, they managed to restrain him. Finally, they locked the injured police chief in an iron cage. But outside the police station, a large crowd of zombies was gathering. In this situation, Kadan was the calmest. He told Ashan to call quickly for help. On the other side, Losang was going crazy from her worry about her son. As soon as she learned her son was hiding in Xiaoli's house and still safe, tears streamed down her face. But when they told her her husband was infected and turned into a zombie, she just furrowed her brows. She was sad, but fear and responsibility were greater than. After that, Kadan took the phone and explained to his nephew that under no circumstances should he leave the house until they arrived with help. On the other side, the zombie police chief locked in the cage kept screaming and shouting, and his terrifying voice attracted even more zombies outside. Now, Ashan slammed the door shut because the banging and scratching sounds from outside were increasing. At the same time, the police station's radio rang. A voice said the rescue team that had been dispatched was almost there. Their faces lit up with a bit of hope. Suddenly, they heard terrifying screams on the radio, and then the connection was cut off forever. No one imagined that the rescue team itself was killed before reaching the village. Ashan, Kadan, and Losang felt a grip of fear in their hearts. They climbed the stairs to the room upstairs and looked out the window. The entire police station was surrounded by thousands of zombies from every direction. Losang quickly delivered the bad news to Lena, and now she forgot all the differences between her and Lena. She said just one sentence: "If I'm not here, take care of my son." On the other side, Kadan and the rest began to think of any way to escape. Suddenly, they remembered that the zombies were very sensitive to sound, so an idea came to them. The police had previously confiscated a large quantity of firework. Quickly, Ashan lit a rocket firework, and immediately all the zombies ran towards the sound. There were motorcycles parked nearby. The three entered the weapons room and fully armed themselves. Ashan loved shooting games, so he understood weapons well. Then the three took the fireworks, quietly opened the hall door, and as soon as Ashan threw a firework outside, the powerful explosions and the bright flames attracted all the zombies towards them. The plan succeeded. Now they had a chance to escape. The three grabbed their weapons and ran out of the police station, but there were still some scattered zombies blocking the way. Instinctively, Ashan raised his pistol and fired. The loud explosion attracted all the distant zombies back again, and now there was no way to escape. The three hid behind riot sheets. Ashan and Kadan fired with all their might, but soon their bullets ran out, and the zombie horde grew larger from every direction. In this moment of despair, suddenly, lightning flashed in the sky and, in the blink of an eye, heavy rain began to fall. With the first drops of rain, all the zombies suddenly stopped moving, as if someone had frozen them. They remained completely motionless. Meanwhile, Lena and her group were terrified by a loud explosion. The sound was actually Lodi, who had turned into a zombie, dragging an iron rod and banging it against the wall. The bang shook the whole house, and the nearby zombies were alerted by the noise. But then, the same heavy rain calmed the atmosphere. Lena realized this was the best chance to escape. She started the motorcycle, taking Xiuli and the little boy with her. But suddenly, Zombie Lodi broke the iron door. All three screamed at once, hit the gas, and managed to escape from the wooden house. At the same time, Losang and her companions were still running, making their way through the zombie. But just as the rain came quickly, it stopped quickly. As soon as the rain stopped, Ashan and Kadan were trapped by the zombie. They were wearing bulletproof jackets, so they shouted to Losang, "Start the car and run!" Both shouted and made loud noises to attract the zombies' attention toward themselves. When Losang ran away, the two had to run back inside the police station. Losang ran at full speed, reached her truck and got in, but suddenly realized she didn't know how to drive. She tried several times, but the engine wouldn't start. At the same time, Lena and her team arrived on their electric bikes from afar. Losang saw them and quickly honked the car horn to signal her location. Now, just as they were about to reunite, zombies were running toward the three, going crazy. At that moment, Losang quickly lit fireworks, which finally drew the zombies away. After a day of exhaustion and running, Losang finally reunited with her son. But mother and son didn't have time to talk before another zombie horde began to gather around them. They all quickly hid inside a car cabin. Fortunately, Lena was not a beginner driver. She quickly started the engine, hit the gas, and began to drive the truck through the zombie. But just as they were about to reach the police station, Lena suddenly discovered the brakes had stopped working, and the truck crashed directly into the police station, breaking through the wall. Kadan, who was inside, was unlucky. His leg got stuck under the truck. Lena tried to reverse the car, but suddenly saw a large number of zombies starting to enter through the broken door. Ashan quickly grabbed his pistol and started shooting, but the zombies kept coming. Luckily, Lena realized the back door of the police station was still safe. She screamed at everyone to escape quickly through the back door. Ashan, while fighting, started to retreat with his girlfriend, but he forgot the mutated police chief who was locked in the cage. Poor Shaoli's hand was severed, and Ashan's heart broke when he saw that. He started firing continuously until the zombies took him down too. As he fell to the ground, there was a strange peace on his face. He slowly reached into his pocket and took out the ring he intended to give Xiaoli. A faint smile appeared on his lips. Then, he gently closed his eyes and died. On the other side, Kadan's bullets ran out. He saw all the zombies entering and shouted, "Run, sister!" But when he saw she wouldn't, Kadan, without hesitation, lit a firework because the truck next to him was leaking gasoline. Losang quickly took her son and escaped from the police station. As soon as the zombies attacked Kadan, he threw the fireworks in his hand with force. The bright light that shot into the sky split the darkness of night, and the shining fireworks swallowed all the surrounding zombies completely. Lena and her group managed to escape the police station successfully, and the motorcycles parked by the side of the road helped them as well. But Losang's face was filled with fear and despair. Now she realized the zombies had bitten her during the previous battle. In the final moments, Losang said goodbye to her son as she left him. At the same time, many zombies ran out from the flames. She screamed loudly and then lit the firework. The plan worked this time, but it cost her her life. The next morning, Lena finally managed to leave the village safely with her grandson. But they didn't know that at the same time, the infected lab guard was also moving out of the village. The senior agent who was about to buy the pharmaceutical company in the big bustling city was still wondering why he couldn't reach the company's owner. But as soon as he looked at the table, he saw a whole empty box of the life-extending drug. Clearly, the story of the zombie virus wasn't over yet. And that's the end of the movie. See you in a new recap, and thank you for watching.